Here we are, back together again. It's time to talk about the issues at hand. You say what you say, just say what you feel. It's the door, and we're gonna keep it real. It's an open conversation. It's an open conversation.
About 6 million women will report domestic violence in 1 year. That's 600 million. 1 in 5, which is 21%, will report rape or some type of physical assault in her life.
Wow, again, some powerful numbers. We're talking about domestic abuse, and I don't know, I cry easy sometimes because I feel people's pain, and I have flashbacks of, seeing my beautiful grandmother with black eye. Like, her face literally was disfigured after being beaten so much. Like, it was insane. Like, and I guess, like Shannon, my grandparents fought it. But my grandfather came at her because he drunk, and he, it wasn't that abuse, but he all, where you been, blah, blah, blah. And she been and flipped him down the steps, and then it was that, and then he went to bed, and they was cool. Not that was okay either, because, that's still violence, and luckily I had seen enough of the love in that household that I didn't be like, okay, this is what the example of, that relationship is like. But, I can't say I've never experienced, because I have, I've had guys who thought that they were going to control me. Mm-hmm. And I say thought because that's just not how that works, because I love myself, and I care about me, and I know who I am. Even as a young person, like, that's just how I am. So I knew not to, I'm like, no, like, I can't do what?
You know what, as we go around the panel and we talk, there's one thing that Shannon said, I don't know, but I listened very intently to somebody. You notice she said her mother was abused. Then she said,
Yvonne.
Right, Yvonne said her mother was abused. Then she also said her brother was. Mm-hmm. So at some point, what they saw from their mother carried on. It became a norm, and it was acceptable.
It's interesting because I feel similarly to Shannon. While I haven't experienced the the physical violence of it, I've definitely had some kind of emotional abuse issues, which I think is kind of similar, but kind of a whole nother can of worms. But my grandmother experienced it as well, and so when I was growing up, I was very close with my grandparents, and she instilled in me these pieces that you ladies are speaking about: the have your own bank account, have a plan, always make sure that you're reaching out for help. And I think that even as I got older and got into different relationships, I just internalized all of that and was always kind of mentally checking myself and all the pieces that you're saying that young women should be prepared with. I feel like I actually was to go into, and because I had a strong female in my life giving me that advice from a really early age and often and just consistently throughout my life. And so we're talking about, how does it happen, or how does the cycle get broken? I think it's going back to that education piece of when you're young and you have your community of women, and how do you educate them about these things from an early age and not be afraid to talk about it and put it on the table and say, this happens, it's real.
But you just said something that made sense, the age. I was 21 years old. I got married when I was 18, my initial time, when my mother was still around. So even that age, that whole 20-something thing, and you think you're grown and you know everything about the world, put me in a situation that I didn't know how to get out of.
Right.
And until you actually are in that situation in your 20s, 30s, 40s, I've seen women in their 60s still being abused. You have to remember the ages that we are. My mother was born in 49, her mother was born in 23. There are things that were stigmatized. Whatever happened with your husband was
Yeah, back in the
nobody's
day.
business,
Keep it in the
but
house.
your
Right.
husband's
Yeah.
and yours. And it didn't make a difference if you went to the law on your husband, they would send you back to him.
In some
Because that was
states-
normal.
Yeah, and there are some states that I don't think they still have a law, but I think South Carolina was one. I was watching a movie, and it was on Lifetime. Don't nobody say that.
Love Lifetime, that's all right.
I love Lifetime, but and this was a real law that you could not either report your husband for rape or some silliness like that, like if he forced himself on you or if he beat you, the woman go to the cops. They take the woman back, and like it's insane. Like I don't
But even
understand
with the
that
insanity
mentality.
that you think of, these are laws that were made by men.
Yes.
Oh well,
You know,
yeah.
and it's not to
Yes.
stigmatize a man. I don't say that because my father is now a good man. He had to learn how to be a
Right.
good man. But these are man-made laws. These are not necessarily laws that should be governed by any men or women in a black robe. Because what happens when you're dealing with an emotional basis of things has nothing to do with something that's written on paper.
Right.
Because emotions dictate your actions and your reactions to how you're going to have your life or how you're going to have your relationship. So how can someone in the street or a police officer or a judge tell you who you can love or who you can't love or who's supposed to do what? This should be something that just happens to be in you not to do.
And we should educate our children. We should educate them when they become teenagers what to accept and what not to accept.
No, you gotta
Especially
start
our
that
girls.
early.
Very-
So
I'm just
yeah.
saying teenage, but I know you have
Right.
to start, it all depends on the child's mind or their mental state. But we need to educate our daughters and let them know that this is a no-no. It's mainly with girls. This is a no-no.
I know,
But
I
not
don't
just
say that
that,
with
but
boys.
boys
I don't say that
I
with
just
boys
said
as
mainly
well.
with girls. I ain't say just girls.
Right.
But you
I
have
say
to,
mainly.
we have to treat our sons how to treat women.
Yeah.
Yeah,
When
that
my
too,
son,
that too.
when my son was 2,
That too.
I had a little thing I would say with him. Girls are made with sugar
That's
and
true.
spices, and we went through this. And
That's true.
anytime I thought he disrespected a girl, he had to stand and
true.
recite that in their face. And it got to a point where he didn't want to be embarrassed. So you're not going to mistreat a girl,
Right.
you know. And as he grew up, there was one relationship he had where he was totally in the wrong. And when the girl called me, I checked him immediately. No, you need to come here because you won't do this. You know, and he had to go back and apologize to her because we're raising men, so you have to treat them. You wouldn't want no one to treat your mom like that or
That's
your
right.
grandmom like that. So you can't treat somebody like that, and it's not going to be okay with me.
Right.
You know, so you can't just teach the girls what to expect. Again, you have to show them something. If you got a bad man and you're letting him do whatever to you, what do you think they're going to do? They think it's okay because that's what you taught them.
But you know what's important as well? With my son, who's now 16, he had a relationship. His very first relationship, she broke his heart.
Yeah.
When I say broke his heart, she broke his heart. He came and he's Muslim. He doesn't show his emotions. He's very confrontational. He's very humble about everything that he does, but she broke his heart and he cried. And when my son cries, I don't know about everybody else's son, but when my son cries, I want to hurt somebody.
Yeah, definitely.
So I said something very nasty about the young lady. I said, she should this and this and that. Teach them from a child. My son said to me, Mom, don't do that.
Yeah.
Because this is on both of us. We are both in this relationship. And if I messed up, I did it. If she messed up, she did
Right.
it. But she's still a good person. So don't ever do that because it's my choice on whom I choose to date.
Exactly.
That means that whatever I'm teaching him, he's learning the
Exactly.
proper way. This is not what was taught to me. And I'm glad that I have this opportunity with my son to be able to teach him. Now, my son will be 7 feet tall. He's 6'6" now and 16. So he's not a little man.
Right.
So he's going to have a lot of things that come at him that he's going to be seen as, oh, he probably beats his woman and this and that. His father never put a hand on me the entire 9 years we were married. Never, not once. Never said a bad word about me. He was very immature when we got together and was the reason of our demise. But nothing as far as being nasty towards women. my son is learning from a good man. And you have to make sure that you have that when you're picking your children's father. I tell
Yes,
these young women all the
definitely.
time
That's it.
about babies, daddies,
Yes.
mamas, you know, mama's babies, daddy's maybes.
That's it.
When you're looking at that man and you're humping and you're doing all these good things and it's feeling good, you know, you have to remember that what can come out of that.
right.
Look at that man when he's walking around with baggy pants on, or he's smoking weed, or the next marijuana joint is hanging out of his mouth, or he's slurring his words because he's so high from the night before, or he didn't go to school the next day because he was too messed up to be able to go and get the education he's going to need to further himself. This is what we teach to the young women that we mentor, that you have to remember that that same person is what you're going to wake up with, taking care of for the rest of your life.
Oh, yeah.
I'm putting the feet in cement box. Not playing, I'm cutting something off. Lorena Bobbitt, somebody.
What about that lady?
He
that
don't
just,
care. Kill him. Cut some testes off.
Why you got your eyes closed like
Because
that?
I was reminiscing
That's
about
nice. That's
what I was finna do. We're gonna go to nobody's business time. I'm not talking about that. I plead the ninth and the fifth.
But you know what? And I get it. And not
That be a fifth of five. Sorry, I'm just playing. I ain't killed nobody. She look like a social worker.
You got the detective sitting right there.
That's Creflo Dollar. That's really Creflo. But let me
not making light of the situation at all, but I grew up, I have 5 brothers, 2 of them, well, one of them I just met recently, but having that was really good for me. And I remember a situation, I was in Virginia visiting my boyfriend who was in the service, and he was actually cheating or attempting to cheat in my face. And in another room, and I opened the door and I'm like, what the hell? You know, so I shut the door back, and because he was embarrassed when he came at me and grabbed me in my collar and smacked me, I think he forgot that I have my brothers and I really wasn't that girl. So we actually got into it, you know, because you can't come at me like that. I've never been abused, and you're not going to start. We're not going to go down the street right here, you know. And he got the point real quick. But then I had to remember I was in Virginia and I didn't know how to get home, you know, and I attempted to eat humble pie, which is something my brother would tell you I don't do real good. So I had to be nice, but he took that like a weakness, like when we got back to the room that you can do something else. So I made my phone call, you know, because my brother's going to find me. And I made my phone call and I'm like, now if you push me, you can die here. And somebody going to get me back to Philly. You know, but for me, that's just not a choice. But I know for women, sometimes, like you say, it's they make you trust them, and once you trust them, there's like, I got you. You know, it's crazy. And the one thing that's really bad that I wanted to say, when you go and you try to get those protection orders, that's a joke to them. And I say it and is not funny, but that's almost like a license to kill somebody. Because once you got that piece of paper in your hand, they're like, oh, really? And Tony, with the statistics, how many of those women had those orders? And they paid them absolutely no mind.
Well, I think like now in 2013 or going back when we were talking about they didn't take domestic violence serious, and if the woman reported it, it was just, oh, it's a lover. Now, you know, they come to the house, they see a scratch on him or a scratch on y'all, both going to like it's taken more because of those statistics. It's
But we just
y'all put a hole in somebody.
like it's
Like
back
that,
in the day.
you take that
gotta be
domestic
guarded.
violence, you shoot him in his testy, and you wrap it up. Wrap it up with that protection order, and the police show up.
But you know, just like
Well, that is true. I'm with
I'm
you
not
with
playing
that.
no game.
No, but I agree. Shannon's shaking her head like no, like I don't think it is more serious. And I think it's like it's
But
almost like
that's sweet.
it's
We
almost
don't
like
say
a like
gotta-
they want you to think it's more serious. Like oh, we're gonna come investigate. We're gonna do all this.
Before
But
you
like
We ready to go to a commercial. We get hot and heated and sweaty and shooting people. We violent.
And we're gonna go to the commercial.
Hi, I'm Marvin Lane with Remax Affiliates Northeast Philly. If you're looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate, I would love to be the man to represent you. We have programs that are suited for each and every one of your needs. If you're a previous homeowner or a first-time home buyer. So remember, one call does it all. You can reach me at 267-546-8888 or look me up on the web at www.marvinlane.com, where you can search for a home, find out how much the house will cost you, and a few other things. You can take advantage of our mortgage calculator, which will help and assist you at figuring out your mortgage payment as well. Just remember, one call does it all. That's Marvin, the fast lane to home ownership. 267-546-8888. I look forward to hearing from you soon.
Hey everybody, how you doing? This is Kenny Nelson, aka Kenny Spoon. Yeah, I'm still doing that music thing. But when I'm not doing music, I tune into Sador's Open Conversation. That's right, www.sador.com. www.sadior.com. Yeah, there's something there for everybody, and everybody can participate. It's worldwide, inquisitive, funny, and full of love for everyone. So check it out. www.sador.com. All right. Peace.
To answer my sister's question, in the year 2011, 11,714 petitions were filed for protection.
There you go.
Well, all
Miss
these
Denise
numbers.
said something she wanted to say.
Yeah, I just want to say something nice and short. We all might not go through physical abuse or whatever, but trust me, believe me, we all go through emotional and mental abuse. So we all go through abuse.
Some,
That's
not
right.
all,
To
not
some
every.
degree.
All is a big word.
We all.
We,
Just like she said, the man thought that he was going to, he thought,
some people.
I'm sorry.
I'm like,
she
get
thought that
married,
the man was going to, whatever.
I'm seeing it.
That's abuse.
Yeah.
No, I mean, not everybody goes through emotions. Some people
Okay.
make it through life and don't.
It really
I
depends
can
on the
honestly
person.
tell you, the funny thing is there's several of us in my family, brothers and sisters. My older sister has never been abused.
Mentally or
Not
is it
because her mouth is
emotionally?
ridiculous. And she is, like I said, my sister is a brawler. She fights man, woman, dog, child. She could care less. She
Baby
beat other
strollers.
people to anything. There
God
you
bless
go.
her.
And she believes in protecting what she believes is hers. I'm hers. Had I come to my sister with my bruises visible, see, I was going to talk, when you talked about the way that he was, abusing you and then you went back to the hotel, I was going to say to you that my husband got smart. So instead of putting marks on my face or hitting me in the head with a telephone and making me lose my hearing for 4 days, or punching me in my eye or busting my lip, he would start body punching me, and he would crack my ribs, or he would break my leg, or he would make me bruise my ankles or things like that, stick nails in me. There are a lot of things that people can do to you that nobody else will see, because unless the police see it physically, they're not doing anything.
Right.
Back when I was going through this in the early 90s, all the domestic violence laws that were on the books were not there then. So they're there now. But even still with those things, that protection order meant nothing. I had 5 of them. The officer told me to my face, a white officer and a black officer. They laughed at me and said, "Why did you call us?" 2 o'clock in the morning, busted lip, busted eye. Why did you call us? Are you making him leave? That's what they asked.
Yeah, that's crazy. I don't know. Before we wrap this up, I want to go around the room and if everybody can say one thing that they think that we can do, you can do, society can do, whoever, to change, you can't change a person. You know, a man's gonna be abused. He's gonna be. But as a one, what can we do to change? Maybe those statistics that Tony talked about lower than.
Well, let me just say, I'm gonna go first. Cause I got some statistical numbers.
Well, you go ahead.
You need a 45.
Oh God,
You need. I'm giving some numbers.
all right, a 45.
A 9mm, and that's it. You got bang bang. We violent up in this stuff.
All right, so Diane, I'm gonna start with you on that. Don't say a
That's
45 or a
abuse.
9.
Well, I was always taught from my father, and I'm very, very close to him because I went through some things and I did share it with him. He always used to tell me, look, learn, and listen. And look at things for what they are, not for what I want them to be. So that's what I would say. Look at the reality of the whole picture. Don't look at it for what you want it to be, because that's not
good
cool.
one. Good.
Look at it for what it really is.
Miss Sheena.
I would say that it still takes a village to raise a child.
Absolutely.
And it doesn't matter if that child is 45, 51, 38, 18, 12, or whatever. You never know what somebody is going through. So, you know, there's enough you know, these powwow moments, these TD sessions where they talk about it, but they're not about it. So you have to be about it, and you have to be serious. You know, you have to. Your actions speak louder than your words. You have to be about it.
And I would just basically say, show up, speak up, and act out. You have to communicate what's going on to someone, even if it's your best friend, even if it's the dollar store clerk in the store that you can only talk to. Somebody knows what you're going through, and they can understand your position. Talk about it, because unless you're showing up and showing out, nobody else is going to do it for you.
I was about to say the same thing she said. If you got family, let family know or something, because somebody can help.
My thing is, and it's just the same. You have to speak out. Somebody out there can help you. You ask for help. I don't care if you ask, like she said, ask the mailman, ask the postman, ask the crossing guard. Somebody can help you, at least shelter you from the abuse. So if you got to run up to a total stranger's house as opposed to being beat that night, go.
I would just say love yourself. Love yourself enough to know that you are better than that, and that you deserve more than that. And love yourself enough to talk to somebody, like Yvonne said, because somebody will be there for you, but it has to start with you. When you know that you're more than enough, you know, and you love yourself, you look in the mirror and you don't like those bruises that you see, and you don't like what's going on, you change it. You need somebody to help you. You can change is hard, so you need somebody else, so you got to open that door to somebody.
I definitely agree with what everyone else is saying, and I think it's interesting because we're saying, like, reach out for help. I think we also need to know how to be that help for other people.
Right.
And so, like, keeping our eyes out and watching, like someone was talking about earlier, like being aware of what your friends or your mentees or other women in your life might be going through, and knowing what resources are available to them, even if there's not much, like what is out there. Like I work with college students all day, and so I kind of am trained to look for that. Like 2 of the girls out of 5 on my staff have been abused in a relationship. Wow. 2 out of 5, you know, and so just realizing how do you support them not only during it but then afterwards too. So
I come from both sides of domestic abuse. I've watched it in my household when my father was an abuser to everyone except me. And I have been an abuser to every man that I've been to because I like it. But I don't do it to hurt them. To leave, I do it for fun. So, only thing I'm going to say is, what was okay back in the 40s and the 50s, like we said, grandma, I'm a slack, it wasn't none of my business. on down the line, it wasn't none of my business. Child be seen and not heard. But today, I will go to the doctor if my eyelash come out. I will go to the dentist and take all my clothes off. I pay too much for care. You gonna notice something. If I can't speak or whatever reason, I would never judge another person because I've never been beaten. I've had a headbutt, but only one. And I'm not having no more.
I hear you.
My dad is dead now, and I have his gun. He didn't kill with it. But please believe me, I'm an only child from my mother. And her whole, that side of my family is gone. So it's just me. And I'm going for the end. But I don't want that for nobody else. That's all I can say.
So your
for myself.
advice is to.
I mean, you got doctors. I got two lawyers.
Just tell it.
Just tell it.
So
just get naked.
Yeah, get naked.
All right.
We gotta wrap it up.
If you got your butt whooped last night,
interesting.
go get naked at the doctor.
She's talking about get naked
at the dentist.
At the dentist. I'm done. This is over conversation.
Will they not help you? Thank you.
But I like that, get naked. I mean, because that's real. If you get naked.
Okay, we ain't getting naked.
No, but I'm saying.
All right, I hope all of you have understood and listened to what has been said here today. What I want to say to you all, any of you out there who are listening, watching this, there are people on our website who talk about this or are going through this. Each one of these ladies on this panel can be reached. They gave their number, they gave their website. Me and Mr. Skip here can be reached. If you really need help, I don't care if you at a Dark Child show, run up on the stage and say, I need help. Get the help that you seek, get out. Like I said again, each and every one of us can be reached, including our producer, Mark Allen. Reach out to one of us if you really need help. Run in Diane's shop, and while she's sitting there sewing, run in her shop. Run into the Temple Student Council office. Wherever you gotta go and get the help so that you can get out. That's all we want you to do. You don't deserve to go through it. Get out.
Nobody deserves to be a victim of domestic violence. According to statistics, it's approximately 32 people a day that's filing a report for domestic violence. Man, woman, child, you don't deserve to be abused by anybody. Seek help. Don't be afraid. If you're afraid, it won't stop. Take the first step. Just tell somebody. We thank y'all for tuning in to another episode of Sadora's Open Conversation. Our young black men, we're so caught up in fashion and who's got what and I want more than him that they're a generation that's on the brink of destruction and being destroyed by themselves. That if we don't, look within ourselves and say, you know what, even if I can just reach one, and change the life of one, then I've done something. I've started there. Because if you talk to one and he talked to one, well, guess what? Your words just reached two other people.
It's a door, and we're gonna keep it real. It's an open conversation. It's an open conversation.